ये पूरा क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? वो वीडियो
वो चैट के लिए रखे थे चैट दिखाएंगे।
ओके 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 Namaste everybody. I welcome you all to this live interactive session of the course Introduction to Pāṇinian Grammar. This is our first interactive session and we will conduct more of such sessions as the course progresses. And the main purpose of organizing such sessions is to have a live interaction, of course, with the instructor so that so that the questions or any concerns, they can be raised live and answers can be sought. So a lot of things can get clarified. Also, motivation is another very important purpose behind organizing these live interactive sessions. So I salute all of you who are present. Namaste to Garib Manus also. So please raise your concerns, please raise any questions you want to ask. We already have the forum in the form of the email where we will interact regularly. But otherwise, if you have anything else to say, because I was checking the emails and I didn't find any specific question related to this course. So okay, so the question about lecture 12 in which semi-vowels are shown as y, v, r and l, and yeah, they are synchronous with palatals, linguals, dentals, and labials, etc. That is true, and the purpose will become clearer because when we study the pratyaharas, we will get to know the semi-vowels which are ordered in this particular manner, y, v, r, and l. But otherwise, there isn't any conflict between stating them as y, v, r, l, and also the book, other book, university book, as you say, stating them as y, r, l. There isn't any conflict. But you will find that in the Pratyahara Sutras, also known as Chaturdasha Sutras, they being mentioned as y, v, r, and l. Which week we'll cover the most complex part of this course. I would say For the beginners, it's all very simple. So there isn't any complex part as such. But there are several topics which are complex in nature, which are made to look easier and which are presented in a manner in which they will be looked at as easy. For example, the process of speech production. The process of speech production is relatively less dealt with even within the tradition. So that is obviously less discussed even within the tradition. So studying that particular aspect with can become complex. Okay, okay. So you have completed in the Sandhi course. That was very vast and complex. In that comparison, is this course easy? I think this is easy. This is easy in the sense that it is an introduction to the basic concepts of Pāṇinian grammar. That is what this course aims to do. Sandhi is a very focused theme, and that requires obviously some part of some knowledge of the basics of Sanskrit, the sound inventory, the features of the sounds, and so on and so forth. But this course gives you an overall view about the grammar of Panini, how it was composed, and what is the nature of sutras, what are the important technical terms on which this entire grammar is built, and also what is the process of speech production described? What is the cognitive stage in the process of speech production? That is very important that I think you will not find elsewhere apart from this course. So in that sense, if this course can be said to be easy, yes. Okay, so some people might have pre-submitted questions via the Google form, which had been solicited via an official email. But I have not received any such question. But if you have any question, do please ask. So now the other question is the recent news of research on Ashtadhyayi by a Cambridge University PhD scholar had caused quite a splash. Can you please comment on its overall significance and in particular its relevance to our course? The recent news of research on Ashtadhyayi by a student doing PhD in the Cambridge University, UK, that has got very little relevance to our course. Our course is an introduction to Pāṇinian grammar. That PhD dissertation studied a very focused aspect of Pāṇinian grammar, which is a little advanced, which is of the nature of conflict resolution technique. When two rules within the grammar of Panini, when they face conflict, how does this conflict get resolved? That is the theme to which that dissertation is devoted to. It comes up with some solutions, it comes up with some ideas, and from that point of view, any serious scholar of Panini can read the dissertation. Obviously, So obviously, one can go through that dissertation. Otherwise, if I can tell you about the reaction, overall reaction that it had caused, um, there are a lot of YouTube videos which have criticized, which have said that this dissertation is not based on sound principles and sources and so on. So many videos are there. So many scholars have voiced their opinions about this particular dissertation. There are some traditional scholars who have also come forward and who have also issued statements in criticizing this particular work. I will not be able to voice my opinion on this topic over here because I'm already part of a committee appointed by the government of India to look into this particular dissertation and make some comments. So I have my own comments, I have my own questions, and I would reserve it to be mentioned before this particular committee. In week 2 assignment, some questions were from uncovered topics. How is Swayam going to treat them at the time of correction and final assignment of marks for examination results? So if you can post, if you can write an email about those questions, we may take care of them. We may um, modify them, or we may do something about them. Please post them, and they will be taken care of. Yeah. So as I was saying, therefore, there is very little relevance to of that work. Okay, already given in weekly feedback. Okay, okay. So we will take care of that. And so there is very little relevance of that work to our course. Rather, if you complete this course, you'll be able to better understand what that scholar is trying to say. We have not yet met. We were supposed to meet sometime, but there were some other interventions that happened. And so we will meet soon. After that, it will be probably released. Yeah. But I'm not very sure. I don't know because we will submit the report to the authorities and then they will decide. But I hope it does. When will it be? When will the report be released? Of course, it should be ready within a few days, I think, few weeks at least. Okay, since Ashtadhyayi and its commentary is now in a public domain, is it post? Yeah, yeah. I think we can do that. I will post the text that we use in this particular course in the on the forum. I will do that. There is a PDF file available, and we will make it available to you all in the text of Ashtadhyayi. Is it okay if I share information from the course along with your name on my social media handle? I don't know the technicalities um, about this, so I think you should write to the NPTEL at IIT Bombay, the office about this. So they'll be able to tell you about the technical aspect of it. And if you ask me personally, I have no issues. So this is because many internet providers have started blocking sites. Okay. Okay, but we will make it available. We had organized a course at the University of Cagliari, this in Italy, in 2019. I was part of this particular um, this particular course or workshop or whatever, summer school or whatever. And then we had used this particular text, and the PDF was made available of the same text. Very useful it was. Then we used it when another summer school was conducted at the University of Pisa, Italy, again in 2021. And again, we used the same text, and that is proving very helpful. So we will be able to upload the text for you all. Along with Ashtadhyayi, can we also get soft copies of the other reference books? That I think I will not be able to do, but I would request you to go to the website called archive.org, on which most of the reference books are available. Can you put up the question papers and the assignment to the previous batches on the site? I think this you should again write to the NPTEL at IIT Bombay, and they'll be able to say something about this. I will be very happy to also provide you with some other assignments and so on. A more general question: how useful is the Dvivachana case in real life usage? How might it have evolved as against the one and more than one cases? Ekavachana and Bahuvachana, that's what you're referring to. Do other languages too have it? So the reference to the usefulness of the usage in real life, usefulness of the case in real life, I think if your how question can be answered in multiple ways, the Dvivachana could be really useful when two persons are talking and two persons are to be referred to. Obviously, then you have Dvivachana at hand, and that becomes that comes in very handy. And how might it have evolved? Okay, so this, in order to understand this question and also to answer this question, we will have to go back to the prehistoric stages of languages, notably Sanskrit language. And we don't have too many languages having Dvivachana. There is only one other instance where there is Dvivachana in the Indo-European language family. One of the reasons why Dvivachana evolved is primarily to refer to two people who are conferring and two people who are constantly to be referred to in as in some um, as in some conversations or in some discussions and so on. So for that, the Vivachana might have come into existence. Otherwise, there isn't much to be stated about that. Historically, it can be tracked in the Proto-Indo-European language. And also probably historically, because in the Vedic language we have two deities simultaneously referred to, and so probably that shows that gives you some clue. How about making the slides too available? Okay, so and the transcription of lectures are not available for the course. What is available is up to lecture 10 on NPTEL site only, not on SWAYAMS. Yeah, so this is a pending issue. and there seems to be there was some confusion, and so as you have noticed, we are using the diacritical marks. So in this course, the material is provided in two scripts, Devanagari script as well as Roman script. When we present any material in Roman script, we generally use diacritical marks. So initially we were told that the diacritical marks will not figure in, you just prepare the transcript as it is. But then when we argued, without diacritical marks, the transcripts would not be so useful. But it took some time for this argument to be, accepted. And after that, they have stated, okay, now you put the diacritical marks also. After that, we started doing it at a speed, and we have come up to almost 51 lectures, and we'll be able to make the entire 60 lectures in some short span of time. Regarding Dvivachana, I think it is mainly for Purusha and Prakriti, Shiva Shakti. Yeah, there is no concrete or conclusive evidence about this. These are all conjectures. But yeah, one cannot even exclude them because that could be those could be the pairs that one may want to, refer to constantly. But definitely, historically, we do have the Vedic deities being referred to together, and that is one of the clues. The provision for Vivachana due to a penchant for precision. Maybe Guru Shishya dialogues seem like a good application scenario. Um, Maybe that is the reason we don't have conclusive evidence about this as to how it got evolved, and therefore all these conjectures. I remember here one very important story, important yet not so relevant to our course, because we don't follow such practices. There was a grammarian in Pune called, named Sri Vishwanath Kashinath Rajwadi, the great scholar. He has stated this particular story in one of his books. He was, as a child, he was completely puzzled about this Dvivachana, why there is Dvivachana, because there isn't any proper explanation. We don't have proper explanation either. So he asked this question to his teachers, why there is Dvivachana in Sanskrit. And then he writes saying that as a result, he got a very tight answer where with the fingers of the teacher stamping on the cheek of, maybe right cheek of poor student. So there was a signal, don't ask these questions, that the teacher conveyed. Here, I don't say this, I don't advocate this. I would rather urge you to ask questions. There may be some questions whose answers I don't know, probably uh, because I don't know, but there are some questions which remain unanswered. That remains to be the beauty of the culture as well. I think this is one of such questions. Why should there be Vivachana? What we should, however, not miss is the Dvivachana forms of the words and the Dvivachana that is matching with the Dvivachana forms of the verbs. So this matching should not be missed. That is extremely important. Yeah, but whatever is available, but it needs to be corrected. We cannot release it as such because the transcription needs to be checked and needs to be. No, no, you don't have to say thank God we have a virtual session. As I clarified, that is not the policy I ever advocate. But that is just a story. That's why I gave a disclaimer right at the beginning that I don't advocate this policy. And I say to you that you should ask questions. And maybe I have no, I will admit when I don't have any concrete, conclusive answer to your question. No issues. Because I still remember my teacher who spent his entire lifetime, devoted his lifetime, studying Pāṇinian and so on. For more than 70 years, he did this. But he would tell me that I still have not understood what Pāṇini is and what is the mechanism and what is the theory and so on. I'm still trying to make the meaning of it. Those words are very heavy, then they are still lingering on my mind and my intellect and so on. So if my teacher can say this, I mean, certainly I can also say the same. There is no doubt about it. But we will try. And about this transcription, I see that there is real concern, and we'll try to make it available as soon as possible. So, as is the case, in the initial part of this course, I inform you about the Pāṇinian grammatical tradition and the grammarians mentioned by Pāṇini and the grammar schools other than Pāṇini, which also describe Sanskrit language, which goes to show that there was quite a uh, there was quite a lot of grammatical activity. And one of the reasons why this happened was primarily because of the oral transmission of the Vedas, which gave the Indian scholars deep insights as far as the process of speech production is concerned at an earlier time and date. And it is this particular insight which came into contact with the modern Western scholars in since 17th century and so on. And then it got then this insight influenced those scholars, and they then developed the field of linguistics. So the computational linguistics is a branch of linguistics, and computational linguistics deals with the computational aspects of language, also part of the broad field called natural language processing. So the work that we have been doing at IIT Bombay is in collaboration with the great computer scientists, notably Professor Pushpak Bhattacharya, and we have been working together for some time now. We have developed an online thesaurus, also known as WordNet. This is called Sanskrit Webnet, and this is available online. And this particular thesaurus has got 40,000 synset entries, and we have traditional thesaurus. Most popular amongst them is Amarkosha, and this particular thesaurus that we have developed is far more bigger than Amarkosha. And the idea is that this particular thesaurus is linked to more than such 10 thesauri of Indian languages. So you can get information about a particular word and its synonyms at one go in one browser. Um, and there are buttons for different languages. All that information can be available to you uh, on that particular page, web page. There is also an ontology that is linked, and this ontology will also be able to describe the concept that is being searched for. So this will help a student to also realize the synonyms and and other related concepts, because we believe that the and the research has also proven that when we grasp vocabulary, we grasp it in chains. I mean, in association. So associative vocabulary is also grasped, and then there are some relations between the concepts that are grasped. These are called lexical relations. So the lexical relations, they need to be grasped, um, and they need to be presented in a particular format. And this is what we are able to successfully do in this particular tool available on the web. This is our major work, and then we also are developing a tool which will enable user-friendly, teacher-friendly, as well as student-friendly atmosphere in the active classroom in the schools. And this is based on the Sanskrit Webnet, and this is called Shabda Mitra. So Shabda Mitra is another tool that we have developed, again in the guidance under the guidance of Professor Pushpak Bhattacharya, and we are part of a lab called CFILT, Computation for Indian Language Technology. And you will find these tools available on the site of CFILT. And there are several other related tools that we have developed. We have also conducted various kinds of experiments. Very recently as last week, our book was published by Deccan College Pune, and this book describes a tool that we have developed called Textual History Tool using the computational phylogenetics. So this is an important work that we have been doing for some time now, and that has resulted in the publication of this particular book. So we will have to wait for the official report on the Cambridge University research. Now there are so many reports available, so many people have written, and so many videos are there. You may go through all those, but yeah, we will have to wait for this report of this particular committee appointed by the government of India. I don't know when they will meet and when they will submit the report and so on, but they will definitely do that. I was also I was also the convener of the recently concluded World Sanskrit Conference at Australian National University, Canberra. And even there we had this Cambridge University scholar presenting his work, and there were some questions to him. People asked questions, and so he was also responding to them, and that was a very good interaction. And it was conducted in a smooth manner. So why there are many treatises on grammar? Why there are so many treatises on grammar in Sanskrit? As per your first week lecture, is it same with other languages of the world? So there are many treatises on grammar in Sanskrit primarily because there is that much interest in language as far as Indian scholars, Sanskrit scholars are concerned. So Pāṇini does mention at least 10 names of at least 10 grammarians. That means they were all the predecessors of Panini. And Panini did quote them in his sutras. So I think there are so many treatises because they describe language per se as is visible to them, and they try to describe language in in a particular format. Now, of course, we have a format that is adopted by Panini, which is acceptable to all in the sutra format. So that is, and then there are several topics that are focused. So in the Pāṇinian grammatical tradition, later on we had a tradition where these sutras were thematically arranged. This was something new, which was not prevalent earlier. Earlier, the commentators were commenting on the sutras in the sequence as they are available in the text of Ashtadhyayi. But after a particular point, people realized the need for collecting all the sutras together, which deal with one theme, which is not the case in the text of Ashtadhyayi. And so this new trend arrived, and since 17th century, this has been a new trend. This has been the trend as far as the pedagogy of Pāṇinian grammar is concerned. People are following only this trend. However, in the 19th century, another stream emerged which focused on Ashtadhyayi, learning Ashtadhyayi in its own sequence, going back to Ashtadhyayi. That was the slogan. And that also emerged and that also continues to hold its sway even to this particular day. So we learned both these streams and we tried to make the best of both, and we developed something else about which we have published an article on. This was published in the Zeitschrift der Morgenländischen Gesellschaft, ZDMG, published from Germany. And in this particular article, we are dealing with the new uh, tradition that we have been, working on, and so on. So, is it same with other ancient languages of the world? I do not know all the ancient languages, and I do not know the scenario with those other ancient languages. But I guess that this must be the case um, because different people write different grammars. If we consider the modern languages, the same language is being described by various people through various lenses. So there are many people writing about a particular language, a particular aspect of the language, and so they write different grammars. So it is absolutely natural that you will find so many treatises on any ancient language. The only point is, have they survived? In case of Sanskrit, I mean, the 10 grammarians quoted by Panini, none of them has survived. We do have the later grammars, however, parts of which have survived. Some of them have already been lost. So there is a great work called Sangraha, written by Vyani, which is lost to us. We don't have this. There are several commentaries which are also gone, which are lost. So this is what happens in the course of time when you are part of a long tradition. Can you please share all the tools and sites, etc., that you mentioned, please? Yeah, so if you can go to CFILT's competition. Earlier it was Center for Indian Language Technologies. Now it is Competition for Indian Language Technology. If you go to this site, you will find many of the tools that are mentioned. And if you can also search individually. For example, you can search for Sanskrit Webnet. You can also search for Sanskrit Shabdamitra. We have also already published a couple of papers related to Sanskrit Shabdamitra. You will get, okay, share as a list, I mean to say. Okay, we'll try, but you can also um, find them out on the web. They are there on the web, and we are in the process of putting the next versions also. So that process is also on. So from 40,000, we are trying to increase the database of Sanskrit Webnet to, let's say, 60,000. So that will be the phase that we shall be entering very soon. So is it a prerequisite? I just began learning Sanskrit. Is it a prerequisite to have some knowledge of sutras? I found difficult to answer certain questions. For example, fifth question in second assignment. So is it a prerequisite to have some knowledge of sutras? Um, if you have just begun learning Sanskrit, then it is not a prerequisite to have some knowledge of sutra. So you learn Sanskrit in any manner. You can also begin with these sutras, but it is not a prerequisite, so to speak. This is just one way. Rather, as I remember some of my teachers saying, these sutras require you to have a previous knowledge of Sanskrit. It's the other way around. So you should have the knowledge of Sanskrit, and then you should turn to these sutras. Then these sutras will make your knowledge more meaningful. You will get to know the constituents of the words that you have already learned, and that will make it more meaningful. Shall we have to memorize sutras? Mm, Well, the material is there for you, right? So it is up to you to memorize. If I were you, I would memorize, because I've learned this lesson that memorizing a sutra or memorizing any Sanskrit text is obviously always absolutely useful, because you can think about it. So my Guruji used to tell this to me when I used to go for his classes or other classes. He used to ask me, "How did you travel?" I used to say, "I travel by bus in the city of Pune." So he said, how much time did you wait for the bus? So how much time you had to wait for the bus to come and so on. So I used to say, so from 10, 20 minutes I had to spend. So he said that, what did you do in these 10, 20 minutes? So he used to always say that this is the time that you do not you utilize properly. And this is where he said that you have memorized so many things. Why don't you think about those in these times? Okay. So memorizing any text is extremely useful. And in these particular time periods, which otherwise seem to be not, being used effectively, you can use them. And he then inculcated this habit of utilizing such time and not let such time slip by, which is extremely important lesson. That is the reason why I decided to memorize whatever text I'm going to study thereafter. And so if I were you, I would memorize the sutras. The next question is how to take up a PhD topic related to Sanskrit. Do you provide guidance for selecting a topic? So at IIT Bombay, we are involved in doing research related to Sanskrit, and there are almost more than 10 students who have finished their dissertation and have earned the degree of PhD under my supervision. And definitely we do provide guidance for the PhD process, PhD topic, as well as writing a dissertation. And uh, at least two of my students, I'm very proud to say, have also earned an Excellence in Thesis Award awarded by the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT Bombay, where all the dissertations submitted in a span of 2 years, they were pooled together, all meaning from all six to seven disciplines. And then this particular award is given to somebody who scores at the top. And so two of my students have so far got this award. And um, many of my PhD students, they are teaching Sanskrit at various places. I'm also proud of all of them. Okay, I understand the need to memorize the basics, but modern education systems discourages memorization and rote learning. How should one reconcile? I think we should try to make the best of both the systems. So you take why the modern education system is discouraging from memorization and rote learning. You try to understand what is the role, what is the background, what is the philosophy. You try to understand that, and you memorize as per our tradition, and you then reconcile by taking the best of both the methods. So there is as I said to you, memorizing something, even if you don't understand something, has its own advantages. Because because my Guruji used to tell me that when you study something on your own without taking any external help, which means that you have already memorized something, and then you sit down quietly at one place and bring that memory back and try to reconstruct what you have studied. Try to reconstruct. You may fail at first go, but you should try. And the moment you are able to, get the complete picture by, using only your memory and depending on nothing else. He used to tell me that this is the best way of learning. And this was telling me through his own practice, his own experience. And I have been trying to, uh, follow him in words. And that has been proving um, very good for me. So I think one should look at the best of both the methods, all the methods. And that is how one can reconcile. Because after all these methods are there for you as a learner. So you can learn those things and then you can move on. Okay? And you can also keep practicing certain things. I think it is up to an individual. And I think that should be the best strategy to reconcile. Okay, so there is one more question about the PhD. What's the minimum preparation for starting PhD? So we require master's degree for a student to be admitted to the PhD program. We also require the candidate to have cleared the national eligibility test for consideration of fellowship. Or if the candidate has cleared the junior research fellowship, even such a candidate is also considered. And then obviously there will be some financial support that one will get. Otherwise, the fees at IIT Bombay, in comparison with other universities, are on the higher side. So without support of any um, fellowship or something, is a little less advisable for different people. Okay, I'm a BE graduate and out of personal interest started learning Sanskrit. Can you suggest how I go forward in doing a PhD in Sanskrit? Okay, so as I just stated, if you clear your master's degree as well as if you clear the exam, if you are a BE graduate, then probably even gate score is also counted for financial support. Even that can be considered. But the clearance of the master's degree is, I think, extremely important. If your CPI is above some number, then I think even your BE graduate degree can be considered. But that number I don't remember right now. You need to check with the IIT system. Okay, I think I thank you all for this very fruitful session. We have discussed so many points, and I would encourage you to ask questions, and we will try to address them. Okay, so if there are no more comments or questions, we may safely consider to close this particular session. Thank you. I like this name, Garib Manus, and really thank you for being there and posing very interesting questions. So at IIT Bombay, we encourage students to ask questions. In fact, it is this that we teach students, how to ask questions. That is a very important part of work, research work, and also intellectual work. So thank you all for asking questions, and see you again in another session. Thank you. Karwin.